let's dive into the EAS 21 application, and we'll just chat kind of about how it was built, the tech behind the thing, and everything that made it up. So is there anything you wanted to like lead out with before I start just pummeling you with questions?
Yeah. Can you see my screen okay with the app and everything?
Yes, looks great.
We'll be there in a second. Great. So thanks. Hey, everyone, just really quick. I am head of product marketing, occasional developer advocate, and product evangelist all rolled into one from Ionic. So thanks for having me on, Matt. And I'm going to talk about our official EAS app. As Matt said, this is the first time that we rolled out an official conference app, and we're really excited to do so, especially with the surprise announcement of Ionic 6 rolling out today. This is what we believe to be, no pressure, the first Ionic 6 public app. So I'm going to show that in a second. And so definitely go ahead and check that out and download that. So this is all available on all the app stores, the web, and on GitHub, completely open source. So we will show those links again and again. Definitely check it out and get some swag. So I am going to pop open the app here. And yeah, Matt, why don't we talk about this first modal actually and some of Ionic 6?
Yeah, let's go for it. So what is this first modal?
Yeah. So this is really exciting. So what's great about this app is I partnered up with Liam from our Ionic framework team, one of our lead engineers, and Ben Sperry, our chief design officer and Ionic co-founder for the design and engineering aspect of this. And what we were able to do here is really take Ionic 6 for a spin. And this particular feature I'm really happy about because it's kind of a great way to like build a really nice UX for your app as well as show off Ionic 6. So one thing that a lot of devs were looking forward to was I think we mostly see this in iOS, but it's the sheet modal type of pop-up. So that's what we're seeing here for this push notification reminder. And traditionally the modals would take up the entire screen or about 3/4 of it, but now we let you open this modal that goes up, really is on the bottom fourth or half the screen. Really, the sky's the limit. So this was a really popular request that we're able to roll out here. And in this particular case, I'm excited because I used it for a permission modal, because as you may or may not be aware, you can often customize the messages that iOS and Android show you when you ask the user for camera permission, maybe Bluetooth, some of the others, but this particular one for push notifications, you can't. So what apps have been doing like this one is kind of give you a little prompt ahead of time to remind you, hey, we want to send you push notifications, but here's our legit reason why, right? And so we're using this upgraded Ion modal with Ionic 6 to do so. So you can see I can have it pop up as soon as the app loads, and then just show it to you once as an app attendee. So when I hit continue, it's going to show that OS prompt for the notifications.
Pro tip in general, whenever you are doing a native prompt to request permission, it is always good to have your own version of that prompt, like Netkow, before showing the native prompt, because once a user denies the native prompt, let's say the second you install the application, you request push notifications, it's like, I haven't used this app. We're not friends yet. Like, we're still kind of, building up that relationship before I want to give you push notification privileges. If you just immediately pop up that native thing, like now you have to tell your user how to go to settings, how to open the app in settings, manually toggle it. Like, there's kind of no going back. So asking permission yourself first, storing that in local storage or something like secure storage, and then coming back later, good pro tip. So I like it in general from a user experience perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the fun parts I love doing and working with our team is make sure we're showing off that UX best practices, especially as they evolve in mobile apps, and they always are. And I think this is a key one. So across the board too on Ionic 6 in terms of features, we've got, I'll show off enhanced dark mode. For iOS especially, there's been some elements that have been updated. And of course, what we do with Ionic, the framework here every time, is keep it up to date with the latest material design for Android and iOS, Cupertino style design systems. So you get all these great UI components out of the box using their latest best practices and standards, so that, as an app developer, especially someone like me with very little design skills, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. All those great animations and gestures are provided for you. And that's it makes me look good. It makes us all look great as traditional web developers. So yeah. Any other questions, Matt?
Cool. Let's dive in terms of like native functionality of this. I know you just showed off a little bit of push notifications. Anything else native that you're bringing to the table here?
Yeah. So, again, we have the capacitor based push notification plugin, and then not much to really show here, but I'm using the Firebase as our backend provider to actually send those and connect. We work with any push notification provider that's out there. Firebase just happens to be a really easy solution to use. So in this case, been sending out some notifications around the events starting, and we hope to follow up with, when our talk recordings are done. So we thought this would be a really great use case for a conference app where you'd want to be in communication for a variety of reasons, right? Both before and after the event. But the other thing I really like is, so let's go ahead a little bit and look at, so I'm excited for Robert's talk here about micro front ends. I'm also speaking about that later today, so stick around. And if we go into each agenda item, I have a remind me feature, and that's using Capacitor's local notification functionality. And so
cool.
if I tap this, it'll say reminder set for 5 minutes before the talk begins. And this uses, again, the system integrated notifications. It's not, because it's local, it's not coming from a server like a push, but it's scheduled in the operating system now on iOS. So when we get to 3 p.m., so 2:55 p.m., 5 minutes before, I'll get a notification and come back into the app. So this, I had a lot of fun building. Getting that all configured was just a few lines of code, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Also cool, just because like you have all the data here already. You know what time the talk starts. So like everything you want to put in the push in the notification is like already there. So local makes sense for sure.
Exactly. You can do all kinds of cool customizations, but really I'm just setting the time that we have in the app, the title of the talk. Really, you can configure what kind of data you want to send in the notification.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I know, Matt, one of the hardest things about turning this into a mobile app has been the fact that we had a couple last minute changes to the event, right? Like we had some talks get modified, we had some additional speakers get added to certain talks. Kind of how are you handling that?
Yeah, great question. So that's been the nature of planning a remote online only conference. We've had speakers mostly join or have just had to make adjustments. That's just part of it, especially because we have so many great speakers, the majority of which are from all different companies. It's not just Ionic, right? So what I'm using is AppFlow, which is our mobile CI/CD platform. We can do, which Matt runs as the product manager, which is awesome. Love that guy. So what we have is the ability to build our Ionic apps in the cloud with native builds. And then what I'm using here to keep the schedule up to date, because again, even today, I've been pushing some updates to the app. You'll probably, you probably won't notice them. They're images, they're agenda tweaks and talk title tweaks. But I'm using AppFlow's live update feature, which allows us to update any of the web code. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is the core of our Ionic app, right? The tech behind it, as well as images and other files like that. And this is also important, especially for speaker images. We have a lot of images in here and high quality ones too, right? For all our speakers. And what I'm able to do here is bypass the app stores. Because this web content and not native content, it's fully allowed by Apple and Google in their terms of service to do this. And the benefit is we can keep the app up to date with any bug fixes. In this case, it hasn't, I think we did a, knock on wood, a good enough job if you're testing the app, where we don't have any bugs, but we do have those speaker agenda changes and things like that. So for example, we're having Liam and some of the Ionic team in Dallas come up next to talk. I had to swap that out for a different talk. Totally fine. So what I was able to do is go into AppFlow here, which is what I'm showing. And this is all my list of commits. In fact, someone from our Ionic Discord made a mention that I made a small spelling error here. So it was fine. I was able to commit that while the conference is going on. And then what's really cool is I can go start a new web-based build that out, and have that build in the cloud. And then what's really great is I can say, make it a live update and assign it to a production channel, which basically is what I've shipped to the app stores. So Of course, because the web app version always gets up to date, right? So this is for the iOS and Android version. I don't have to go through Apple in particular is notorious for longer App Store reviews, right? So I don't have to wait days to just make a few small tweaks to the application, right? We're able to update it live even during the conference. And then when you're viewing the app like I have it open now, those updates are downloading in the background. And then when we update them, which actually I think we had some updates. Let me go close that there and then pop it back up. They're going to be updated live. So here's that new talk. It's been updated. I didn't have to do anything. Pretty amazing, right?
That's awesome. I'll send you a bill later. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So one last question. We're about to move on to that talk, right? Introducing Ionic 6 Q&A with the Ionic team. I know you built this with Ionic 6. Is there anything you wanted to call out or kind of your favorite piece of that puzzle?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much to mention. One neat thing, I thought I'd show off dark mode actually, which is built into Ionic framework. It always has existed in Ionic framework, so it's not entirely a new v6 feature, but I know we made some iOS in particular changes. So what's really cool is because we're building with CSS variables for all these main colors and themes, like we have our dark blue on the agenda tab there that I can tab before, as well as like our swag buttons and things like that. What's really nice is we can change these on the fly and not have to recompile the app and have them update for us. So we're just using simple CSS here to configure a dark mode and change some of the primary colors. So when I go to settings, so you saw that was like regular light mode. And if I change just for the operating system back to dark mode, and then I go back to the app, look at that. I didn't have to configure anything. And it looks, I mean, really great, very, very crisp, easy to see. So just one quick example where there's just a little bit of setup and I have that automatically in my app, which everyone loves dark mode to these days. It's pretty much a requirement for modern mobile apps. So
I know I thought it was funny that you started talking about dark mode and somebody asked a question like, hey, does it support dark mode? And here I had it on my phone from this morning. I had it on my phone from this morning and I was like, it is in dark mode, right? Just because like that's how I use my phone. So like the auto detect is great.
Yep. And of course, I manually triggered it just to show it off. But later tonight, probably when 4 o'clock, when it gets dark here now in the Midwest, it would automatically switch to it, which I love. I don't even have to do anything. So.
Cool. All right. Well, on that note, I think we can bring up some of the Ionic 6 team to talk about kind of everything Ionic 6 and what's going on there.
Great.
So
all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. And I'll catch up with you later.